On my YouTube channel, and this is about 2.5 years ago or so, I reviewed the Chucky movies, the first Child's Play through Seed of Chucky, naturally that being the last one. When I reviewed that, yeah, I did not like that movie. I know a lot of people, may disagree, but not a big fan of Seed of Chucky. I thought whatever kind of humor they had concentrated so well in Bride of Chucky, which I loved. I think it got away from them somehow. I think it just got out of control. And I thought the movie was awful. I don't like the movie. And that was my last review in that series of reviews for the Chucky movies. And in all sincerity, at the time, I thought that was it. I thought the series had pretty much gone out with a whimper instead of a bang, or at least kind of ended on a sour note instead of a triumphant one, basically. And I even quipped at the time, well, I mean, looks like it's going to be remake territory, and that's okay, I guess. Little did I know at the time that this would happen. Curse of Chucky. This is a brand new Chucky movie. Um, Basically, it's not a remake, of course. It's not kind of one-off-ish, half remake, half reboot, half real sequel or whatever. No, it is actually. I mean, technically, it's Child's Play 6. It does continue and expand upon the story. So I never would have expected this to happen. Yes, it is straight to video, but hey, no complaints. So yeah, I mean, basically, uh, I should let you know this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. If you don't want spoilers, here's the 5-second review. Really good movie. If you're a Chucky fan, I'm sure you'll like it. So definitely check it out. But from this point forward, spoilers, okay? Okay, so, um, first thing I gotta say about the movie is, even though, yes, it is straight to video, um, the production value, it's pretty good. It's not bad at all. I mean, I think what they kind of did um, to save money, I guess, is that the movie it does take place all in one area for the most part. It takes place in this kind of old, kind of beat down house, like an antique kind of house, a Victorian kind of make. So it takes place, I think, for the bulk of the story, it takes place in either one night or one weekend or what have you. So I think that's kind of where they saved a lot of money because it's definitely not um, going on the road, meeting all these people like something like Bride of Chucky would be. So it's pretty contained, but I thought that was kind of a good aspect to the story because it's not something we've quite seen before in a Chucky movie. Because even if you look at something like the very first Child's Play movie, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, fifth, whatever, they do tend to kind of take place. They're not all in like one very concise time period, you know. Um, like the first Child's Play, it takes place over like weeks or months or so. So I thought that was interesting. And yeah, I mean, being a straight to video movie, maybe the effects aren't that great, not as good as they could have or would have been if it were a, you know, theatrically released, higher budget kind of movie. So there's some shots in this movie, like, when you see a CGI Chucky, that don't look good. Even the puppet doesn't look that good. Definitely not at the level that we've seen in the previous movies. So that's not that great, but it's easy to ignore because you do get kind of drawn into the story, and I like the story. And again, I liked how it is kind of a contained, a brief period of time kind of movie. What it kind of actually is, in a lot of ways, being the horror movie that it is, it's funny. It's almost like kind of like one of those chamber dramas. You know what I mean? Like tragedy brings this family together, and they're kind of a dysfunctional family, and they all have secrets, and the secrets are unearthed, and nobody really trusts each other. But then a stranger comes with information from the past and unearths all these big revelations on them. But the catch to that is um, the stranger who comes in is a fucking doll, possessed by a serial killer. and he has 4 movies or 5 movies under his belt that have happened before this story. But it is kind of a self-contained story that I liked, and I did kind of like, the characters. No, like amazing characterization in this movie, but it gets the job done in that kind of, again, kind of like a cheesy chamber drama kind of way. Like, um, you do have like the husband and wife character who visit the sister, who's played by Fiona Dorff, Brad's daughter, of course. After their mother dies, like Fiona is the main character. Her sister and her husband come with their daughter after their mom dies, and Chucky's there too because he is mysteriously sent in a package a little while ago. And quite obviously, we do suspect that Chucky may have been the one to kill the mother. And kind of the reason why and what he's doing there is revealed throughout the movie. Um, but yeah, you have the kind of stuff like that, and even like a priest comes into the movie, which is very fun. It's been a while since we've had like a good priest character in the movie, and I thought the actor A. Martinez, he did a good job. Very kind of a foreboding kind of priest. He's like, he knows there's something off about that doll. He's like, I've seen this doll maybe in the news. Something's bad, something like that. But there's secrets and stuff, and there's a whole family legacy to be revealed, and there's unfaithfulness, and kind of the nice thing about this movie, it does kind of play against expectations in very little kind of nice ways. Like you see the husband flirting with the nanny who's brought there too, which is like the hot bimbo blonde girl. And they're kind of sitting beside each other at the dinner table and flirting, and you're like, okay, yeah. The husband and the nanny got something on. No, it's the wife and the nanny who have something on. They have a secret, spicy lesbian relationship going. So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny, and it was done well. And yeah, it has a lot of nice little stuff to it. Like it doesn't. At this point, it's a 6th movie, so they're not playing any games with us about whether or not Chucky is an evil possessed doll. We know he is, so we'll even kind of see him walking around a little bit in the shadows, sort of, and we'll see his hand come up and like put like some rat poison in the meal that's being served. And I thought that was a good scene because you're like, okay, who got this? Who got the rat poison? He only put in one. So who's going to be the lucky person to eat that poison and die horribly? And it's just so playful about it. Like, the husband, he's just like, mm, this is so good. And the daughter, the little girl, is like, this tastes funny, but it turns out, well, spoilers, it was the priest who got it. Then he gets in a car accident and is decapitated, which, shit happens. But yeah, on the whole, very entertaining movie, and kind of like what they set out to do. It was kind of a return to the roots of Chucky, which I thought was great, and I liked Fiona Dorff in the movie. I thought, like, you look at her and you're like, yeah, that's Brad Dourif's daughter. It looks like her. I mean, it looks like him. So yeah, and you kind of wonder, it's like, okay, so is it gonna be that she's secretly his daughter or something? Because they kind of piece together pieces of their family history, and what it does in kind of a very clever way, in keeping with the continuity of the previous movies that came before it, is that they do kind of piece it together with Charles Lee Ray, his history and his involvement with the family, and the kind of obscene relationship that he had with the mother, and that's why he wanted to kill her. And you see him in flashbacks, which was cool because when you think about it, I mean, 99.9% of these movies, it's Chucky voice only. You don't see Brad Dourif, but he's in this movie in flashbacks more than he is at the beginning of the very first Child's Play. And so, like, you see him in flashbacks with the family and holding the mother hostage, and you're kind of thinking, did they get some kind of actor who looks like him? Because, Brad Dourif, he's pretty old, right? I mean, he's got to be, 60 at this point? So you're thinking, well, no, that's him. Like, did they do some kind of next level, like, Charles Xavier, Magneto, X-Men Last Stand, CGI makeover thing to make him look younger? I don't know. I think part of it was that the flashbacks, they are in black and white. Um, so I guess maybe they can wash it out a little bit, but I thought those scenes were great and very visually memorable. Like they kind of like do the Sin City thing. Like you see Charles Lee Ray holding the mother hostage while she's pregnant, bringing her flowers, these yellow flowers, and everything's in black and white. But the flowers are yellow, so you see that. So that's cool. It stands out. A neat flashback sequence. And what they do is you find out that she contacted the police, and the police come after him. And so the flashback in this movie ends with what you see in the first Child's Play movie of him being chased by the cops and going into the good guy doll body. So that's how it all kind of connects, and I thought that was very clever. I mean, it's not mind blowing or anything, but it was nice. They made an effort to make this fit in with the rest of the series, and what they do its self-contained nature is really good too. Like it's a standalone movie. Like I think if say for example, this is the very first Chucky movie someone's gonna watch, they're gonna get it. And the kills are pretty good. Chucky seems to have an eye fetish in this movie. Like he electrocutes the one girl, the bimbo nanny, and like she just kind of like shakes, and you see static on her computer, which I don't think it works that way. And like her eye just kind of pulls up or something like that and fries, and she falls down, whatever. Then he stabs the other girl in the eye, and he has that good line, you have your mother's eyes, they're too fucking close together, and that's pretty good. And basically, I mean, he has the good one-liners. Another one was, women can't live with them, period. Oh, Chucky. He doesn't speak too much in the movie, but he does kind of around the end, like, the big exposition kind of scene where he reveals why he's there, what he's doing, to the Fiona Dorff character. So all that's pretty good. I liked all that. And, it kind of has a nice atmosphere to it. The atmosphere with the house is very gothic. It's the kind of movie, I mean, like, or the kind of house, like the way it's designed, and the house has a service elevator in it, and a big chandelier too, and it's just the kind of movie where you're thinking, okay, this is, I don't know if houses like this exist. I'm sure they do, but this is like totally made for a horror movie kind of house. It's kind of perfect for it. And I kept thinking something's going to happen with that chandelier. Chucky's going to swing from it, or he's going to drop it on somebody. No, unfortunately not. Nothing happens with that, which is a little bit disappointing. And in fact, kind of the way it ends, it does end in a good way, but it's a little disappointing because you kind of expect a certain thing from these kinds of movies where the hero is going to get the one-up on Chucky. And it kind of does, but I'll get to that in a second. But the way it ends, it kind of sidesteps its own ending for its own, self-contained story, the story about the family and all that stuff. It kind of sidesteps that a little bit lazily, because basically, police come, lady is the only one surviving, she's holding a knife, family around her's dead, the doll did it. Crazy nut house. That's where she goes. So there's that, and I guess I've seen worse endings for movies, so that's kind of how that movie ends. But what Curse of Chucky does, and how it kind of extends on its own ending, is that it sidesteps some somewhat appropriate ending. I mean, it's okay the way it ends, but it kind of sidesteps its own ending to just kind of pull gears and speed into fan service territory. And it is nuts, the fan service that it goes to, because basically after the trial, she goes to the mental asylum, whatever, and the cop on the scene, you can kind of tell he's kind of been talking on the phone with somebody, comes out with the evidence bag, and, he gets in his car. His throat is slashed. Guess who it is? It is Tiffany. She's back in all her glory. So, I guess, she was teaming up with Chucky and arranging these shipments with the post office. And, somebody had to be doing it. What was he going to do, mail himself? I mean, so somebody had to help him. So I think we could suspend our disbelief if the package just mysteriously showed up at the beginning, which it does. But this kind of adds to it, like a little bit of, I don't know, legitimacy to it. Um, so yeah, Tiffany's there, and basically, again, the kind of way it ends, it's complicated to get into it, but I'm still kind of processing it. But basically, Tiffany helps Chucky mail himself to the little girl who survived. The little girl didn't die. Sorry about that. I misspoke. And it ends with him trying to possess her. But then it gets into something else, which I'll get to in a second. Um, but see, it's all over the place in the ending. That's my problem. I like the fan service. It's nice. I can forgive the sloppy storytelling, but it is kind of all over the place. Um, but yeah, so it's nice to see Jennifer Tilly back as Tiffany because, I mean, kind of the whole spirit behind Curse of Chucky and the inspiration for it was the fact that a lot of fans were saying, you know what, the first three are good, but these fucking comedy ones with Tiffany, not my thing. But she was an integral part. She became an integral part to the story, so it was nice to see her again, I think. I mean, I wouldn't have liked it if they completely ignored what happened in Bride of Chucky and in Seed of Chucky. As much as I'd like to forget Seed of Chucky, I'm glad they didn't ignore it. Though we don't see Glenn, so we don't see him. We don't know what's going on. But pretty much between whatever happened, between Seed of Chucky and this movie, I mean, there's a whole other movie there. I mean, Jesus. Pretty much Seed of Chucky, you can pretty much consider it Chucky and Tiffany's divorce. I mean, obviously they gave it a shot. Good for them. But they just couldn't work it out, those crazy kids. They wanted different things. What can you say? Chucky needed his own room to grow, basically. He needed to be independent. But it doesn't mean they can't be friends. I mean, lots of divorced people are still friends. So, it's nice of her to help out and stuff and whatever. Glenn is probably on The View or something, sobbing, telling his story, being a good guy. But yeah, so I mean that's kind of interesting in and of itself to think of the bridge between the movies. But long and short of it, I like the fact that they didn't completely disregard the previous movies. So in every way possible, this is a continuation, and it doesn't disregard anything, and it connects everything really well, which I thought was great. So good job on that. And the piece de resistance, it comes at the very end. After the credits, you see another mysterious package is being delivered. I guess you can forget everything he did possessing the girl or ever, ignore that. This is probably an afterthought. They probably shot in 5 minutes, whatever. Mysterious package comes. Guy signs for it. Guy, in his 30s or something, late 20s, whatever. And he's like, takes the package, then kind of you see him talking on the phone with his mom as the package is there, and somehow it opens itself because it's Chucky. Camera pans around the room, and you see photos of very familiar faces of Andy Barclay and his mom, and you see that from that it's Andy Barclay from the first movie, and it's the same actor. It's Alex Vincent who played Andy in Child's Play 1 and 2. And Chucky comes out of the box, and Andy, well prepared, must have been prepared all his life, takes out a shotgun, says, "Play with this motherfucker," kaboom, shoots Chucky. And that's the very, 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 very end of the movie. Which, yeah, it's nice. It's nice fan service, what can I say? Makes no sense in the story whatsoever, and it would have been pretty awesome, even if they didn't get the same actor. It would have been nice to see yet another one of these kinds of movies dealing with Andy, because obviously Chucky has some unfinished business with him. So, but they settled it in 5 minutes. But, 90 seconds, basically. But that was nice. And it's kind of nice, even as like a side note, that he's talking on the phone with his mom. It's like, okay, well, we will learn in Child's Play 2 that she was sent to an asylum. So I guess everything turned out well for them, somewhat. But that was good. And, yeah, I mean, if this is going to be the last one, then I think they kind of ended it on a nice note, having like kind of a reunion between the previous cast, which I like. It would have been totally awesome if somehow they had to work in Chris Sarandon, who played the cop in the very first movie. That would be fucking awesome. But you do see him very briefly in the flashback, because they use a clip from Child's Play 1. So it would have been pretty cool. But, Chris Sarandon, you don't see him much. I think he's on an island somewhere collecting Jack Skellington royalties, so not worried about him. Maybe this is above him, whatever. But whatever. On the whole, movie does good fan service. It does, it responds to what the fan reaction was to the previous two movies. So they're kind of going back to the roots. This isn't a terrifying movie, but I didn't think the first Child's Play, or the second, or the third, I didn't think they're that scary. They're kind of cheesy, and this one is kind of cheesy too. But it has some good scares to it. It does have jump scares and things like that. Good classic vintage Chucky, which I think people were clamoring for. They delivered. So I think this is a very appropriate final curtain, if it is indeed the final curtain to the Chucky series. I hope it's not. I mean, again, I'm really, really unclear about what their plans are. Like, I keep hearing, okay, there's Curse of Chucky now, but then there's going to be a remake. I don't know. I'm not hearing anything about this remake. But if they plan to make a second one, or not a second one, a seventh one, straight to video, I think I'd be down for that. I'd like to see what more they have to do, but I think as it stands here, one, they told a good self-contained story. Two, they kind of connected it to the other movies in a good way. And three, they had the fan service. They, brought it in spades, which was cool. So, credit where credit's due to Don Mancini, who Chucky's pretty much his baby. So I'm sure he took, the fan reaction to the last movie under serious consideration, and he wanted to leave his character in a way that was appropriate. And if this is the last one, I think it's a damn good last movie. Again, not perfect. Effects could have been better. It's, not high art. It's a Chucky movie, but it's fun. I like it. Brad Dourif, as always, great voice as Chucky. Does a good job. Like, I think that's kind of the main appeal to the movie, is that even though the puppet doesn't look that great, you almost forget it because you're listening to Chucky and it's his voice, and you're kind of drawn to that. So, Chucky could be a sock puppet. If it's Brad Dourif's voice, I think it's gonna get a lot of attention and draw you in. So, credit to Brad Dourif, who's been the staple of the series, does a great job as Chucky. So, really liked all that, and bringing his daughter into the movie. It's a very family-oriented kind of movie, I guess. So yeah. I thought it was a very good movie. I very much enjoyed it. And yeah, I'd give it a final verdict of see it. So that's that. So that's my review. Basically, I'm going to I'll upload this as like I'm doing the 31 Days of Horror. So this will be day 8 or 9 or whatever, so I'll upload it in that playlist, and I'll add it to the Child's Play series playlist. So 2 birds, 1 stone. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Really enjoyed it. Connected everything really well. Really good horror movie screenwriting, very good acting for a horror movie, good and fun effects, practical effects. Like if you see a severed head, it's not CGI, though it may be assisted by it. Blood, guts, fun times, and that little fucker Chucky. So, I kind of have to kick myself for what I said all those 2.5 years ago, saying that was it for Chucky. Looks like it wasn't, but I forgot the number one rule, which is you can't keep a good guy down. So, thanks for watching.